Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cha Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahma. Text 57 onwards. So Krishna showed his real opulence to Brahmaji by everybody, and when all the cowherd boys and the calves, they took the form of Vishnu. And then Brahmaji saw how everything and everybody was worshipping Krishna. And that showed the opulence, and he bewildered Brahmaji. Brahmaji tried to bewilder Krishna, but Krishna bewildered Brahmaji. So further it is said, Iti resha tartya nij mahimani swapramitike paratra jato atanirisan mukha brahma kamito anishe api drashtum kimitam iti va muyati sati chachadajo gyatva sapadi paramo aja javanikam. The Supreme Brahman is beyond mental speculation. He is self-manifested, existing in his own bliss, and he is beyond the material energy. He is known by the crest jewels of the Vedas, by refutation of irrelevant knowledge. Thus, in relation to that Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, whose glory had been shown by the manifestation of all the four-armed forms of Vishnu, Lord Brahma, the Lord of Saraswati, was mystified. What is this, he thought. And then he was not even able to see. Lord Krishna, understanding Brahma's position, then at once removed the curtain of his Yogamaya. That was really mystifying Brahmaji. Brahma was completely mystified. He could not understand what he was seeing. And then he was not even able to see Lord Krishna. Understanding Brahma's position, then removed that Yogamaya covering. In this verse, Brahma is referred to as Iresha. Ira means Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Iresha is her husband, Lord Brahma. Brahma, therefore, is most intelligent. Well, sometimes, maybe some kalpas it is said, Saraswati is daughter of Brahmaji. But sometimes it is she is wife of Brahmaji. But here Prabhupada says Brahmaji is her husband. But even Brahma, the Lord of Saraswati, was bewildered about Krishna. Although he tried, he could not understand Lord Krishna. In the beginning, the boys, the calves, and Krishna himself had been covered by Yogamaya, which later displayed the second set of calves and boys who were Krishna's expansions, and which then displayed so many four-armed forms. Now, seeing Brahma's bewilderment, Lord Krishna caused the disappearance of that Yogamaya. One may think that the Maya taken away by Krishna was Mahamaya, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that it was Yogamaya, the potency by which Krishna is sometimes manifest and sometimes not manifest. The potency which covers the actual reality and displays something unreal is Mahamaya, but the potency by which the absolute truth is sometimes manifest and sometimes not is Yogamaya. Therefore, in this verse, the word Aja refers to Yogamaya. So Krishna removed his Yogamaya potency, so Brahmaji could see Krishna in all his forms. Krishna's energy, his Maya Shakti or Swarup Shakti is one, but it is manifested in varieties. The difference between Vaishnavas and Mayavadis is that Mayavadis say that this Maya is one, whereas Vaishnavas recognize its varieties. There is unity in variety. For example, in one tree, there are varieties of leaves, fruits, and flowers. Varieties of energies are required for performing the varieties of activity within the creation. To give another example, in a machine, all the parts may be iron, but the machine includes varied activities. Although the whole machine is iron, one part works in one way and other part works in another way. One who does not know how the machine is working may say that it's all iron. Nonetheless, in spite of its being iron, the machine has different elements, all working differently to accomplish the purpose for which the machine was made. One wheel runs this way, another wheel runs that way, functioning naturally in such a way that the work of the machine goes on. Consequently, we give different names to different parts of the machine, saying this is a wheel, this is a screw, this is a spindle, this is the lubrication, and so on. So although it's all iron, but every part has different functions, so every part is different. Although every part is made of iron. That's really Achintya Bhed Bhed Tattva. Similarly, as explained in the Vedas, Parashya Shakti Vividhe Vishriyate. Krishna's power is variegated, and thus the same Shakti or potency works in variegated ways. Vividha means varieties. There is unity in variety. Thus, Yogamaya and Mahamaya are among the varied individual parts of the same potency. And all of these individual potencies work in their own varied ways. The Samvit, Sandhani, Ahladani potencies, Krishna's potency for knowledge, his potency for existence, and his potency for pleasure are distinct from Yogamaya. Each is an individual potency. The Ahladani potency is Radharani. As Swarup Damodar Goswami has explained, Radha, Krishna, Pranaya, Vikritir, Ahladani, Shakti Rasmat. The Ahladani Shakti is manifested as Radharani, but Krishna and Radharani are the same, although one is potent and the other is potency. Again, they're same and they're different at the same time. Brahma was misled about Krishna's opulence, Nij Mahimani, because this opulence was atarkya or inconceivable. With one's limited senses, one cannot argue about that which is inconceivable. Therefore, the inconceivable is called achintya. That which is beyond chintya, our thoughts and arguments. Achintya refers to that which we cannot contemplate but have to accept. Srila Jiva Goswami has said that unless we accept achintya in the Supreme, we cannot accommodate the conception of thought. So we cannot understand him fully, his potencies, his pastimes, everything we cannot understand. So unless until we accept he is achintya, there's no way we can understand him. Or there's no way we can accommodate the conception of God. This must be understood. Therefore, we say that the words of Shastra should be taken as they are, without change, since they are beyond our arguments. That which is achintya cannot be ascertained by argument. People generally argue, but our process is not to argue, but to accept the Vedic knowledge as it is. When Krishna says this is superior and this is inferior, we accept what he says. It's not that we argue, why is this superior and that inferior? If one argues for him, the knowledge is lost. So is that blind faith? No. We can, like Prabhupada, this is inferior, this is superior. We cannot argue. We can just ask, how is it? Or how to understand this? How do you apply it in practical way? So this is the scriptures. We cannot understand completely everything. Even Brahmaji got bewildered. So who are we? So we just have to surrender. Follow the instructions, and then slowly, slowly, by the mercy of Krishna, things will be revealed. That's all. This path of acceptance is called Avaroha Pantha. The word Avaroha is referred to the word Avatara, which means that which descends. The materialist wants to understand everything by the Aroha Pantha, by argument and reasoning. But transcendental matters cannot be understood in this way. Rather, one must follow the Avaroha Pantha, the process of descending knowledge. Therefore, one must accept the Parampara system, and the best Parampara is that which extends from Krishna. What Krishna says we should accept. Imam Rajarshayo Vidu. This is called the Avaroha Pantha. Brahma, however, adopted the Aroha Pantha. He wanted to understand Krishna's mystic power by his own limited conceivable power. And therefore, he himself was mystified. Everyone wants to take pleasure in his own knowledge, thinking, I know something. But in the presence of Krishna, this conception cannot stand. For one cannot bring Krishna within the limitation of Prakriti, which is we. We are Prakriti. One must submit. There is no alternative. This submission marks a difference between Krishnaites and Mayavadis. So understanding or accepting our limitation, accepting our minuteness, accepting our lack of energy or lack of understanding, we just have to surrender. Surrender doesn't mean blind surrender. It also is based on scriptures. But understanding, we cannot understand everything that is mentioned in the scriptures. No way. Just like when somebody was arguing with me, I was telling that whatever we do is we get the karmic reaction. Good actions will give us good reaction and bad will give us bad. And he said, what if whatever I am doing, everything is controlled by God? I said, everything is controlled by God because we are not beyond the control of God, but we have a desire and he fulfills our desires to whatever degree. No. What if everything, if I'm moving my hand, this is what God wants me to move. And if I'm doing something, this is what God wants me to do. I said, but this is not how he has designed it. This is his creation, his universe. He hasn't designed it this way. So he is the original designer. He knows. So this is how he has designed. So we are not like animals or birds. In their case, yes, everything is controlled, but not in human beings' case. No, what if? I said, there is no question of what if because it is not designed that way. If you want to design it your own universe, you go ahead. If you think you can design it better than Krishna. But where are you going to get the material from to design your own thing? So just follow. That's all. But this is what people want to argue. Oh, what if? I said, there's no question of hypothetical understanding. The reality, it's not. It's not means not. It's mentioned in the scriptures. He wasn't satisfied, but what could I do? The phrase Atat Nirashan refers to the discarding of that which is irrelevant. Atat means that which is not a fact. Brahman is sometimes described as Asthulam Ananva Ahasvam Adirgam. That which is not large, not small, not short, not long. Neti neti. It's not this, not that. But what is it? In describing a pencil, one may say, it's not this, it's not that, but this does not tell us what it is. This is called definition by negation. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also explains the soul by giving negative definitions. Na jayate mriyate va. It's not born, nor does it die. You can hardly understand more than this. But what is it? It is eternal. It's unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. It's not slain when the body is slain. In the beginning, the soul is difficult to understand. Therefore, Krishna has given negative definitions. Nanam chindanti shastrani. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can it be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Krishna says it's not burned by fire. Therefore, one has to imagine what it is that is not burned by fire. That is a negative definition. So, but neti, when Mayavadis talk like that, but it doesn't tell what it is. That's what Prabhupada is trying to say. Okay, something that is not burned by fire, not moistened by water. But okay, but what it is? What is it? It doesn't tell. So similarly, they also try to understand Krishna by their own logical reasoning. Like Prabhupada said, this is pencil. Okay, it's not a pen, It's not an eraser. It's not a chalk. It's a pencil. But what is a pencil? It doesn't explain. So they try to understand Krishna. Krishna, when Parabrahman is or Brahman is described, it's not short, it's not long. Or Ishopanishad, if we study the Supreme, it is said, he doesn't walk and he runs the fastest. He's the farthest and he's the closest. So that is when they say that any person that we know of cannot do all this. He doesn't walk, he runs the fastest, and he is the farthest, he's the closest. So the person who has a form, a personality cannot do all this. So the absolute or ultimate must be impersonal. But that's not the right logic, conclusion. Just because I cannot do something doesn't mean the Lord cannot do something. Cannot do whatever is impossible in my dictionary. And this is what Brahmaji is learning. He's learning his lesson big way. Tato arvak prati labdhaksh ka pare tavad uttita krishrad unmilya vedrishtir achastedam sahatmana. Lord Brahma's external consciousness then revived and he stood up, just like a dead man coming back to life. Opening his eyes with great difficulty, he saw the universe along with himself. So Krishna had to show him everything. We actually do not die. At death, we are merely kept inert for some time, just as during sleep. At night, we sleep and all our activities stop. But as soon as we arise, our memory immediately returns and we think, oh, where am I? What do I have to do? This is called Supta Utthit Nyaya. Suppose we die. Die means that we become inert for some time and then again begin our activities. This takes place life after life, according to our karma or activities and svabhava, or nature by association. Now in the human life, if we prepare ourselves for beginning the activity of our spiritual life, we return to our real life and attain perfection. Otherwise, according to karma, svabhava, prakriti, and so on, our varieties of life and activity continue, and so also do our birth and death. As explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Maya re vashe yache bheshe khacha habu dabu bhai. My dear brothers, why are you being washed away by the waves of Maya? One should come to the spiritual platform and then one's activities will be permanent. Kritya Punya Punya. This stage is attained after one accumulates the results of pious activities from many, many lives. Janma Koti Sukritir na labhyate. The Krishna consciousness movement wants to stop Koti Janma, repeated birth and death. In one birth, one should rectify everything and come to permanent life. This is Krishna consciousness. So Brahmaji, when his consciousness was revived, he stood up just like a dead man coming back to life. So he understood who is he, what he was supposed to do, and what a mistake he made. And then Prabhupada talks about sleep and death. So when we go to sleep at night, we forget who we are, what do we have to do. But when we get up, by Krishna's mercy, everything happens by his mercy. Our memory immediately returns. We think it's natural, but nature is Krishna's energy. So he has designed it in such a way that we remember. We come back to who we are. So similarly, death. Death is what? It's a long sleep. We take time to come back to our consciousness. And then who we are means I am this body, in a baby body, and then slowly we grow, and then all our desires which are stored in the mind, they start coming in the front, and we try to fulfill those desires. And while trying to fulfill those desires, we develop new desires. And the material life goes on and on and on and on. And But Prabhupada said one should come to the spiritual platform. Means develop that consciousness, develop their spiritual desires. So slowly, then we get away from this sleeping in ignorance and come to the real life where we find out who we are and act accordingly. And Prabhupada said, how long will it take? In one birth, one should rectify everything and come to permanent life. One birth. So easy. Sapadeva bhita pashyam desho apashyat purastitam vrindavanam jana jivya dhruma kiranam samapriyam. Then looking in all directions, Lord Brahma immediately saw Vrindavan before him, filled with trees, which were the means of livelihood for the inhabitants, and which were equally pleasing in all seasons. Trees and vegetables are essential, and they give happiness all year around in all seasons. That's arrangement in Vrindavan. It's not that in one season the trees are pleasing and in another season not pleasing. Rather, they are equally pleasing throughout the seasonal changes. Trees and vegetables provide the real means of livelihood recommended for everyone. Sarva kama dugamayi. Trees and vegetables, not industry, provide the real means of life. So at least in India, in Vrindavan, the trees, they don't shed leaves like over here. It's a really fall season when it is called fall. Just trees become pretty much naked without any leaves. Only the branches are sticking up. But yes, when the springtime comes, the leaves come back and then it looks very beautiful. Yatra nesarga durvaira sahasandrim brigadaya mitrani vajita vasa durta rutta tarshikadikam. Vrindavan is a transcendental abode of the Lord, where there is no hunger, anger, or thirst. So naturally inimical, both human beings and fierce animals live there together in transcendental worship, or transcendental friendship. The word vana means forest. We are afraid of the forest and do not wish to go there. But in Vrindavan, the forest animals are as good as demigods, for they have no envy. Even in this material world, in the forest, the animals live together, and when they go to drink water, they do not attack anyone. Envy develops because of sense gratification, but in Vrindavan, there is no sense gratification. For the only aim is Krishna's satisfaction. Even in this material world, the animals in Vrindavan are not envious of the sadhus who live there. Sadhus keep cows and supply milk to the tigers, saying, come here and take a little milk. Thus, envy and malice are unknown in Vrindavan. That's the difference between Vrindavan and the ordinary world. We are horrified to hear the name of one of the forest, but in Vrindavan, there is no such horror. Everyone there is happy by pleasing Krishna. Whether a Goswami or a tiger or other ferocious animal, everyone's business is the same, to please Krishna. Even the tigers are also devotees. This is a specific qualification of Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, everyone is happy. The calf is happy, the cat is happy, the dog is happy, the man is happy, everyone. Everyone wants to serve Krishna in a different capacity, and thus there is no envy. One may sometimes think that the monkeys in Vrindavan are envious, but because they cause mischief and steal food. But in Vrindavan, we find that the monkeys are allowed to take butter, which Krishna himself distributes. Krishna personally demonstrates that everyone has a right to live. This is Vrindavan life. Why should I live and you die? No, that is material life. The inhabitants of Vrindavan think, whatever is given by Krishna, let us divide it as prasad and eat. This mentality cannot appear all of a sudden, but it will gradually develop with Krishna consciousness. By sadhana, one comes to this platform. So this is Vrindavan. Actually, that is consciousness. Of course, the land is also Vrindavan, the Vrajabhumi, but more than that, we have to develop that consciousness of Vrindavan, of a Vrindavan resident, the real Vrindavan resident. There is no envy. There should not be any. And if we are envious, even if we are living in the land of Vrindavan, we are not in Vrindavan. So difficult. And if we are not envious, even if we're living outside, Prabhupada was living in New York, San Francisco, all over the world. He was always in Vrindavan. In the material world, one may collect funds from all over the world in order to distribute food freely, yet those to whom the food is given may not even feel appreciative. The value of Krishna consciousness, however, will gradually be very much appreciated. For instance, in an article about the temple of the Hare Krishna movement in Durban, South Africa, the Durban Post reported, all the devotees here are very active in the service of Lord Krishna. The results are obvious to see. Happiness, good health, peace of mind, and the development of all good qualities. This is the nature of Vrindavan. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna. Without Krishna consciousness, happiness is impossible. One may struggle, but one cannot have happiness. We are therefore trying to give human society the opportunity for a life of happiness, good health, peace of mind, and all good qualities through God consciousness. And this is what preaching is all about. Or this is what this society is all about, what Prabhupada has created, to give this God consciousness of happiness to everybody. Chant and be happy. That was his mantra. Because by chanting, we purify our consciousness. And when we purify our consciousness, we'll be happy. Nothing else but happiness. So that is Vrindavan consciousness. And that's what our aim should be, to give that to everybody. Oh, help Prabhupada in giving that to everybody. That's a real way of understanding. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.